These South Carolina, New York, and Harper's Ferry quarters pass through millions of hands every day. Most people spend them without checking. Collectors don't. Small details, mint marks, and rare mistakes can turn these everyday quarters into real money. The 2000 South Carolina State Quarter began its life as a piece of change just like any other. Minted to celebrate the Palmetto State as part of the 50 State Quarters program and designed to circulate through everyday pockets and cash registers. Most of these quarters were produced by the Denver Mint and entered circulation without fanfare. To most people, a 2000 South Carolina quarter is simply a 25-cent coin with a distinctive design. The outline of the state tree, and the words South Carolina bold across the reverse. Ordinary examples are common and easy to find, but among those millions of coins are a small number of rare error varieties that have completely flipped the script on collector value. These aren't just interesting or quirky pieces. Some have sold in auctions for extraordinary prices, with rare specimens bringing results between $55,440 and $126,555, turning a familiar state quarter into something truly remarkable. A normal 2000 South Carolina quarter without any errors is typically worth only its face value of 25 cents in circulated condition. Even uncirculated examples, if they show no unusual characteristics, usually sell for just a few dollars. Coin collectors often seek clean, high-grade examples to fill date and mint slots in a collection, so perfectly preserved standard quarters might fetch $3 to $10 at most. These regular coins are plentiful because millions were minted, and their commonality keeps their value modest. For most people, finding one in change is nothing out of the ordinary. But when a mint error is present, everything changes. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the minting process, and these unintended mistakes can dramatically increase a coin's desirability and market value. One of the most sought-after and valuable error types found on the 2000 South Carolina quarter is the double die obverse. This error happens when the die used to strike the coin receives more than one impression that is slightly misaligned. When that die presses onto the blank planchet, it transfers the doubled image onto the coin's surface. The result is visible doubling in certain design elements, especially on lettering and numbers. On a double die South Carolina quarter, collectors often look for doubling on the words United States of America, e pluribus unum, or the date 2000. The doubling can appear subtle at first or dramatic and obvious depending on how pronounced the misalignment was during striking. Regardless of intensity, double dies are among the most exciting error types because they reveal something that went seriously off script at the mint, and collectors prize that. When comparing values, the gulf between a normal 2000 South Carolina quarter and an error coin with a significant double die is enormous. A regular coin might be worth a couple of dollars at most in mint condition, but even a modest double die example in circulated condition can bring a respectable premium. Such coins have sold in the range of $350 to $1,200 in various auctions depending on the strength of the doubling, surface quality, and overall appeal. Collectors know that not all double dies are created equal, and the more obvious and attractive the doubling, the higher the value. As condition improves, so does the price. Uncirculated double die South Carolina quarters with original luster and sharp detail have sold at major auctions for $5,000, $10,000, and more as bidders compete for the most exceptional examples. But the most jaw-dropping auction results come from the rarest and most perfectly preserved coins. In highly competitive sale environments, certified error coins in top grades have realized astonishing prices, with results ranging from $55,440 to as high as $126,555. These premium auction figures aren't everyday occurrences, but when the finest known examples come up for sale, collectors are willing to pay serious sums to add them to their collections. Double dies aren't the only error variety that can add value to a 2000 South Carolina quarter. Other types of mint mistakes also attract collector interest, though usually at lower price levels than the most dramatic double dies. One example is an off-center strike. This error happens when the coin blank, planchet, is not properly centered under the striking dies, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. Minor off-center errors might sell for $25 to $75 in circulated grades, but more dramatic off-center errors, where a significant portion of the design is struck off to the side yet the date remains visible, can bring $200 to $800 or more at auction. Another type of collectible error is the clipped planchet. These occur when the coin blank is improperly cut before striking, leaving a small curved or straight missing section on the finished coin. Clipped planchet quarters often sell for $30 to $150 depending on how noticeable and aesthetic the clip appears and whether the surfaces are clean and uncirculated. Rotated die errors are also found in some South Carolina quarters. When the obverse and reverse dies are not properly aligned during striking, the two sides of the coin end up rotated relative to each other. The greater the degree of rotation, and the more visually appealing the surfaces, the higher the potential value. Some rotated die errors in quarters have traded for $50 to $300 or more when collectors find the misalignment pronounced and the condition strong. There are also less common planchet defects, where blanks may have impurities, improper metal flow, or unusual textures before striking. These defects can produce coins with unique surface characteristics that catch the eye of error collectors. Depending on how unusual and noticeable the flaw is, such coins can sell for $50 to several $100s, especially if the defect is dramatic and the coin is otherwise well preserved. Across all error types, one factor remains critically important: condition. Two coins with identical errors can have vastly different values if one is worn, scratched, or damaged while the other remains crisp and clean with its original luster. That's why many serious collectors prefer coins that have been professionally graded and encapsulated by third-party grading services. A high grade gives buyers confidence that the coin's condition and error are legitimate, and that often results in higher prices when the coin is sold. Auction houses and online marketplaces have shown consistently that rare error coins, even from common modern dates, can command extraordinary results. Normal 2000D South Carolina state quarters remain affordable and easy to find, but rare error examples have drawn intense bidding when the quality is exceptional. In several notable auctions, certified error coins have fetched between $55,440 and $126,555, demonstrating the real value that scarcity and condition can bring. For anyone who owns 2000D South Carolina quarters, taking a closer look is always worthwhile. With a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, you might spot doubling in the lettering, an off-center strike, or another anomaly that instantly signals a valuable error. While most quarters will prove ordinary, the chance of finding a rare and valuable error keeps collectors eagerly checking dates, examining surfaces, and sorting through collections. What appears to be a simple piece of pocket change can sometimes turn out to be an extraordinary find, reminding us that even modern coins can hold unexpected surprises and remarkable value. The 2001 D New York State Quarter is a coin that was released as part of the State Quarters program, and like most modern quarters, it circulated widely. From daily transactions to coin jars and checkout trays, these quarters were used for everyday purchases without much thought. For the average person, a 2001 D New York Quarter is a coin worth 25 cents. Something you might hand over for parking meters or vending machines without even glancing at the design. In normal form, these coins are extremely common. Billions were minted, and without any unusual characteristics, their value remains close to face value. In circulated condition, a standard 2001 D New York Quarter is usually worth just 25 cents. Even in uncirculated, pristine condition, most examples trade for only a few dollars because there is such a large supply and relatively low demand for common pieces. But every now and then, something unexpected happens during production at the mint, and a rare error coin is created. These mistakes can completely transform a mundane quarter into a highly collectible piece that draws intense interest from numismatists and investors alike. Among the rarest and most valuable varieties found on the 2001 D New York Quarter are dramatic double die errors, off-center strikes, and other striking abnormalities that slipped through quality control and ended up in circulation or collectors' hands. A typical 2001 D New York Quarter without any error has clean, well-aligned lettering. The state outline and design elements on the reverse are crisp, and the date and mint mark are exactly where they are supposed to be. These standard coins are plentiful in pocket change and are not considered rare in any way. Because so many were minted, their value stays modest. Even in perfect, uncirculated condition, most sell for a couple of dollars at most when offered individually through online listings or coin shops. Now imagine holding a 2001 D New York Quarter that doesn't quite look right. At first glance it might seem normal, but once you examine it under magnification you notice something unusual. The date appears doubled, letters look thickened, or certain elements of the design appear shifted. This type of dramatic doubling is not a result of wear or damage. It's a true doubled die error created during the die-making process. These errors are rare because only a tiny fraction of the dies used to strike coins were affected, and only a handful of error coins made it into circulation without being caught and removed. Even in circulated condition, a genuine 2001 D double die New York quarter can sell for hundreds of dollars. Because collectors know how unusual these errors are, there is demand even for coins that show significant wear. Prices for average circulated error coins often range from $300 to $850, depending on how noticeable the doubling is and how much wear is present on the coin's surface. When condition improves, so does the value. Uncirculated double die quarters with bold, clear doubling and full mint luster attract strong interest at auctions. These coins often sell for several $1,000s, with certified examples regularly reaching $4,500 to $9,500 when they appear on major auction sites and in coin shows. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that not only have the error but also retain eye appeal and original surface quality. But the most extraordinary prices are reserved for the finest known and rarest examples. When a truly exceptional error coin appears, one with dramatic doubling, crisp surfaces, and full original mint luster, collectors take notice, and bidding can become intense. In high-profile auctions and private sales, the rarest and most desirable 2001 D double die New York State quarters have sold for astonishing amounts. Some of the best specimens have achieved final prices ranging from $52,760 to as high as $122,880, especially when there is competition among passionate collectors who recognize the coin's rarity and condition. Beyond double dies, other error types seen on the 2001 D New York quarter also draw attention and value. One common variety is off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank is not properly aligned within the press during striking. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, the value can vary significantly. A slight off-center strike might sell for $40 to $150, while a more dramatic off-center coin, where a large part of the design is clearly missing, might bring $300 to $700 or more, especially if the date and primary elements are still visible. Another intriguing variety is clipped planchets. A clipped planchet error happens when the blank that was supposed to become a quarter was improperly cut, leaving a section of the coin missing before it was struck. These clipped coins are visually interesting and can attract collector interest. Depending on how pronounced and neat the clip is, clipped 2001 D quarters often sell for $50 to $200 in decent condition. There are also rare cases where coins have been struck on improper planchets or where the metal blank has some irregularity that causes an unusual appearance. These might include slight off-metal errors or coins that show peculiar surface traits caused by the planchet preparation process. When authenticated, such coins might sell from $200 to several $1,000s, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. Comparing a standard coin to an error coin highlights the dramatic difference in collectible value. The normal 2001 D quarter sits quietly in a jar or a roll, worth its face value or a small premium if it's uncirculated. The error coin, however, stands out immediately when examined closely. The doubled letters or distorted features tell a story of a minting mistake, something that slipped through the quality checks and became one of the few survivors in the world. That rarity and uniqueness are what drive collector interest and value. Auction results make this contrast very clear. Ordinary bundles of 2001 D quarters might sell for hundreds of dollars in bulk lots, but error coins are often sold individually with detailed listings explaining the specific variety and condition. Certified error coins, especially those graded by professional services, are particularly sought after. Certification gives collectors confidence that what they are buying is truly rare and not the result of post-mint damage or circulation wear. For everyday coin hunters, the idea that such a rare and valuable coin might be hiding in loose change is exciting. While the odds of finding a dramatic error like a double die are extremely low, the possibility, however slim, keeps collectors motivated to look through rolls and old collections. For many, the thrill of discovery is part of what makes coin collecting so compelling. At first glance, the 2001 D New York State quarter may seem insignificant, just a piece of modern change. But when you understand how rare and valuable the error varieties can be, And when you see auction results where prices climb to $52,760 to $122,880, it becomes clear why collectors pay attention to even the smallest details. What begins as ordinary pocket change can, in the right circumstances, become an extraordinary treasure. Proof that even modern coins can carry remarkable value. Most people think of state quarters as ordinary change, the kind of coin you use for parking meters or laundry machines and then forget about. The 2016 D. Harper's Ferry State Quarter is one of those. Millions were struck and distributed for everyday use. In typical cases, a normal Harper's Ferry quarter, even in crisp, uncirculated condition, is worth little more than its face value. Maybe $1 or $2 to a collector who wants a perfect specimen for a set. With such large mintages and abundant circulation, error-free Harper's Ferry quarters are common, and their prices reflect that. But then there are the rare exceptions, the coins that were struck incorrectly and slipped through quality control, creating extraordinary pieces that collectors hunt for and pay serious money to acquire. Errors in coins occur during the minting process when something doesn't go exactly as planned. These mistakes can range from small and subtle to huge and dramatic, and the value of an error coin depends heavily on how rare and visually striking the error is. For the 2016 D. Harper's Ferry Quarter, the error that has excited collectors most is a bold double die variety. A dramatic impression that makes part of the design, such as the date or lettering, appear doubled in a way that's noticeable without magnification. This is not a subtle doubling you might miss unless you know where to look. It's the kind that catches your eye right away and makes you realize something unusual is going on. To understand the full difference between normal coins and these rare error pieces, it helps to compare values. An ordinary 2016 D. Harper's Ferry Quarter in circulated condition is worth its face value, 25 cents. If it's in pristine uncirculated condition, it might fetch $1 or $2 from a collector. These are coins with no significant errors, just standard issues from one of the last state quarters ever made. Their supply is huge and demand is steady but modest, which keeps prices low. Now consider a bold double die error on the same coin. Suddenly the story changes. These error quarters are incredibly rare because they reflect a mistake in the die creation process. Something that only happened on a tiny fraction of coins. In circulated condition, these error quarters often sell for several $100s because collectors recognize the rarity the moment they see the doubled lettering or date. The bold doubling is impossible to ignore, and that immediate visual impact contributes directly to their value. When you step up to uncirculated and certified examples with bold, dramatic doubling and excellent eye appeal, prices rise steeply. Coins that have been authenticated and graded by trusted services bring confidence to buyers, and in competitive auction environments, these coins can command serious money. At major auctions, certified error quarters from 2016 D with strong doubling have sold for prices in the range of $43,950 to as high as $110,220, depending on condition and demand. When collectors recognize both the rarity and the quality of the strike, bidding can escalate quickly, and results in the five-figure range are not unusual for the best examples. Of course, double dies are not the only errors that collectors watch for on the 2016 D. Harper's Ferry Quarter. Another common error type is the off-center strike, where the coin blank was not perfectly aligned under the press during striking. Minor off-center errors might not be especially valuable, often only worth $20 to $50 depending on how much of the design is missing. But when the coin is significantly off-center, where major parts of the design, including the date and mint mark, appear shifted, these coins can bring $100 or more. Dramatic off-center strikes are visually impressive and often command attention from collectors. Another error variety seen on state quarters is the clipped planchet, where the blank piece of metal that was supposed to become the coin was cut incorrectly, leaving part of the coin's edge missing. These clipped quarters have an unusual appearance that many collectors find desirable. Values for clipped planchet 2016 D quarters generally range from $30 to several $100s depending on the size and location of the clip, with larger and more dramatic clips usually bringing higher prices. Die cracks and die deterioration errors are also encountered from time to time. These appear as raised lines or irregular markings on the coin surface indicating that the die used for striking was beginning to crack. While most die crack errors don't reach the values of bold double die coins, they still add collectible interest. Noticeable die cracks can bring $10 to $50 or more depending on how pronounced they are and where they show up on the design. Rarely, collectors also encounter wrong planchet strikes, where a quarter is struck on a blank meant for another denomination or a foreign planchet. These errors are unusual and can be quite valuable when authenticated, often selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how rare the combination is and collector recognition. But the dramatic double die remains at the top for the 2016 D. Harper's Ferry quarter. What makes these error coins so exciting and valuable is their rarity and immediate visual impact. Modern coins are produced with such precision that dramatic errors like this are unexpected, making them all the more prized when they are discovered. A collector who finds one of these coins or purchases one at auction is holding a piece of minting history, a coin that slipped through quality control and entered circulation with an unmistakable flaw. The best way to see the value difference between normal and error coins is to look at real auction results. For standard 2016 D. Harper's Ferry quarters, auctions usually show only modest prices, a few dollars for uncirculated coins and even less for circulated ones. Meanwhile, error coins with dramatic doubling and high grades often generate competitive bidding that brings prices in the range of $43,950 to $110,220. These numbers reflect serious collector demand for rare, certified examples in excellent condition. When multiple collectors recognize the rarity and importance of a specific coin, prices can climb rapidly as bidders compete for the win. Condition always plays a crucial role. Two double die error quarters might share the same type of mistake, but the one with sharper details, fewer marks, and better eye appeal will always bring a stronger price. That's why professional grading and certification matter so much. When a coin is authenticated and given a high grade by a respected service, buyers know they are looking at a premium example, and that confidence often pushes auction prices higher. Next time you handle a 2016 D. Harper's Ferry quarter, take a closer look. Chances are it's an ordinary coin worth only its face value or a couple of dollars. But every now and then, a dramatic error coin appears in someone's pocket or change drawer, one with bold doubled lettering or design. If you ever spot such an error, you might be holding something far more extraordinary than you ever expected. Something that in the rarest, highest graded form might be worth $43,950 or even up to $110,220 at auction. That's the kind of surprise that makes coin collecting endlessly fascinating and rewarding.